Today we're discussing the ultimate guide of how to get into ICOs, so initial coin offerings, and IDOs, initial DEX offerings. Now, we've made a lot of videos about Launchpad projects that only allow certain countries getting in because of KYC, know your customer rules. This video is basically going to be all about how you can essentially access early stage altcoins. That's the point here. We don't want to just focus on these names, ICOs, IDOs, right? These don't necessarily matter, right? These are just labels that we put on something that really this whole category is, the whole point here is to get into early stage projects. So I've made this whole Launchpad series on my channel called the Altcoin Launchpad Ecosystem Map series. So it's basically going over all the different launchpads and all the different ecosystems. And yes, if you're watching this and you're from the US, you're watching this and you're from a country where essentially you're not able to get into these, this is a problem. Versus the country that I'm currently in here in Georgia, the easternmost country in Europe, you're able to access these things, especially places like Sweden. There's so many places around Europe where you're able to do this. And one of the beautiful things, personally, that I talk about on this channel is having a second passport or a second residency, because it helps you in this situation. So right off the bat, I want to talk about that. But in a second here, we're actually going to be entering into my computer, talking about all these different things, basically breaking them down. And again, the reason that I say, yes, this video is about ICOs, initial coin offerings, IDOs, initial DEX offerings, but there's other things. There's IFOs, there's IEOs, so initial farm offerings, initial exchange offerings, right? So all these different things are very important to understand, because essentially what you're doing is not only are you in an industry that is very, very early stage, the blockchain, crypto industry, whatever you want to call it, but if you can get on early on quality projects where you've done your own research, which I always have that video linked down below in the description, basically laying out how to do sentimental, fundamental, technical, and on-chain analysis, all these different things, combining those together, and then you can actually go out and confidently invest in early stage projects. Obviously, most of these projects, if they're early stage, it's high risk, high reward. So these are things that you have to understand, but there are ways to access early stage altcoin projects without having KYC, without having all these rules that you have. But again, the kind of innovation on 2017 moving into now we're in 2021 is the ICO phase was a bit of a problem, right? So this word, the label ICO, some people would say, hey, there are no ICOs. Yes, there are. There are all new initial coin offerings. So when a coin essentially enters the market, that is an ICO, right? So the difference is how these projects go about doing it. Do they do that through the avenue of going through a launchpad? So it's an IDO, an initial DEX offering, like a launchpad like PokerStarter or TrustSwap or DuckDuckDime or Solanium, whatever it is, SoulStarter, CardStarter, all these different things. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. So by the way, before we hop into this, definitely like the video if you enjoyed it so far. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and click all. We talk about all things within global investment sectors, emerging market investing, which is where I spend the majority of my time traveling around different markets, looking at real estate, meeting with bankers, meeting with lawyers, all these different things that kind of encapsulate emerging market investing. I talk about real estate investing, I talk about stocks, talk about bonds, mainly talk about cryptocurrency, though I also love commodities. And some of these asset classes I would rather short, like bonds, not so interesting right now. I did make a video on bond investing in 2021, my kind of thoughts over the long term, but crypto and blockchain industry is incredible. So let's waste no more time, hop right into it. All right, one of the most important things that I have to share with you is we've been doing this series where essentially I break down all of the different Launchpad ecosystem projects throughout all the different blockchain networks in this playlist. It will be linked down below in the description. Before we really dive into how to access IDOs and ICOs, I just wanted to mention this is one video, and in this one video we're going to be talking about there are different options as far as this goes. There's also IFOs, IDOs, IEOs, all these different things, but this series, again, IDOs are really the number one way, in my opinion, to gain early access, which is through launchpads. Now, just knowing that is one step. The next step is going, what are all the different options out there? Because some people get thrown off. They see something like a PokerStarter, for example, right? So right here, PokerStarter or TrustSwap. To gain access to these pools, which are typically high quality pools, you need a lot of Pulse tokens, right? So you need close to like $10,000 worth. And in some of these cases, this is a lottery allocation, okay? So a lottery versus a guaranteed allocation is an important thing to realize. And in this whole series, I literally go through each of these different Launchpad projects. We're not even all the way done with this series yet, because we've gone through Solana, we've gone through Cardano, we've gone through Avalanche, all these different blockchain networks and the different Launchpads on top of them. And now we're really entering into Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum Layer 1. We've talked about Polygon Layer 2. And a lot of these that we've talked about, you can literally gain guaranteed access. For example, with Nearpad, in the Near ecosystem, you can have guaranteed access here for, you can see it here in this Medium article, but I also talk about it in, let me see here. We want to go here. Where were we? Okay, so let's go to docs here, and I'll show you exactly where you can actually find this. Some places it's a bit harder, so I basically throughout the throughout the series, I essentially do the work for you. I literally walk through and explain, exactly how many of the tokens you need. You can see in here, literally with 1,000 pad tokens, which I think pad tokens, if I remember correctly, it's around like 10 cents, and maybe even lower than that. And that's a multiplier of 1, but that's guaranteed allocation. That's the interesting thing. And with this, essentially, all these IDO platforms, all these launch pads, you have this set up. So let's go, for example, here on Selenium, right? So this is the XSlim calculator. If you look at the Slim token, the first stage is the god of the sun. I like how they have this broken up. But essentially what this shows you is with all of these, in this case, this is a lottery allocation, right? So with something like PokerStarter and TrustSwap, it's a bit harder to gain access, especially if you're in the US. But the whole point here is there's a lot of launch pads that you can kind of get around this KYC. There's something like DeFi Drop, for example, no KYC. And that's a Launchpad project. Relatively, I would say mid-range as far as the allocation you need. But you have to understand, it's not like saying you have to have $1,000 or just $5,000. This is the allocation in the token. So the given token for that ecosystem. For Card Starter, it's the cards token, CARDS. And you can see you just need 100 cards token, but you only have, 10% lottery odds. And that's like, 100 cards token. We can actually pull it up right here. We'll go here to CoinGecko. Go to CoinGecko. We'll go to the cards token just for an example. Then we'll continue on cards. But like I'm saying, in this series, I literally go through every single one. So you see 100 cards token, you need about $1,600 just to enter in, and that's 10% lottery allocation. That's what you have to understand, is there's so many different options out there, but it all depends on when you got into this project. And the reason I'm saying it's not just, it's not just $1,600, because literally tomorrow this could double. So you have to understand that. That's why personally I do like to hold some of these tokens for the long term, like PokerStarter, even if I'm not participating in the IDOs necessarily. I have in the past, but the token itself is great to hold, because you have to think, if people want to gain early access to Launchpad projects in the early stage projects in the Polkadot ecosystem, they need to go through PokerStarter or some of these other Launchpads in those different blockchains, right? So the whole point here is to lay out with this series, to lay out all the differences, kind of to break down, what are the differences in all of these, what are the individual niches. So like you see Polygon's first Launchpad, you see Avalanche, you see Paula's Starter, Ventup Finance, Akamfi with Cardano, Selenium, Radium, top 3 altcoin launchpads for the Near blockchain. But you have to go check out this series if you're interested in this at all, because really, like I said, the main thing is IDOs. In 2021, 2022, it's probably going to be the same thing, because it's really an innovation on ICOs. Now, not to say that there aren't initial coin offerings anymore. Actually, that's what we're moving into here next. So you can see here on CoinMarketCap, one of the features that I love that they've added, they've really done a lot of innovation here on CoinMarketCap. They have like a native actual swap inside CoinMarketCap, so you can see this. Maybe you guys haven't noticed this yet, but I've talked about it in our daily series that I do on the channel, Daily DeFi. You can literally go and swap directly on or you can do this directly on CoinMarketCap while staying in app. So you can literally see, okay, maybe you're interested in, swapping XRP or swapping Doge for Cardano or whatever it is. You can go here, pop in Doji. If it's, I don't even know if it's on here. I can't remember. Right, there's Ren Doge, whatever. Let's say you want to do USDC to ADA. I think ADA should be on here. You have like a wrapped version of ADA. But you get the point, right? Like, let's just say we want to go USDC to ETH. You can do it natively on here while seeing the updated price charts. So fascinating as far as that goes. But the point of this is to show you, essentially what we see here is an ICO calendar. So you see these are the ongoing ICOs. These are initial exchange offerings. So these are actual IEOs. A lot of these ICOs is kind of this term that maybe people strive for, but you have to kind of come to the reality that, yes, I would say IEOs, IDOs, IFOs, all these things are in the category of ICOs, right? So initial coin offerings don't really happen anymore. It's more like the category of, if it's an initial coin offering, all these things are coins, right? Everything that's being launched, whether it's an IEO or an IDO or an IFO, is a coin, but there's a specific way they're launching. Typically, they're not launched in the way ICOs were launched in 2017. That's basically not happening at all anymore. But there are still ICOs, so initial coin offerings. You have to understand that with when a new project comes out, you can either be kind of like an early stage investor, a venture investor. You can be part of the team that's essentially getting the coin when it's initially offered, right? So when you're looking at a project's tokenomics and you see, this is the allocation to private investors, early stage investors, that's really technically ICOs, right? So it comes down to following projects, kind of having a platform where projects reach out to you, and all these different things. But you can see these are actual upcoming ICOs or IDOs. This is what CoinMarketCap says their ICO calendar. But I like it because they have this represented as IDOs, right? So you can see it all here. Private sale. So anything that says private sale, that's really, in my opinion, the ICO. There's also things like crowd loans. We can just look at all of them that are going on here. So yeah, you can see exactly what's going on. I love this. There's also this site called Icodrops. This is one that's a little bit more risky. You can see these upcoming ICOs. Again, most of these are not ICOs. That's the name that they put on it, but I hope you understand this, right? So this is where you'd find these. Very, very simple to get into. So let's say like we're interested in Fanadice. We click on it on the Icodrops website, and if this loads here, you can see this, and this is a platform, so you can see their website, the white paper, and kind of like how you can get into this project. Very, very simple. I think Icodrops lays it out very, very nicely. But that's basically all for this video. The main thing that I must tell you about is follow along with that series that we've been doing, the IDO Launchpad Series. Essentially, how to get in early, like I say here on ICOs. That's kind of the category. Just like launchpads, there's multiple launchpads inside of that category name, right? So just like saying I don't know, shapes, right? So there's many different types of shapes inside the category of shapes, circles or squares, all these different things. In ICOs or in launchpads, you have things like accelerators, you have things like incubators, you have actual like standard launchpads, right? Kind of getting in early before the IDO happens in IEOs. So really, like you're looking at pre-IDO launches, but this series basically lays it all out. That's really the number one best way is to get in early on a launchpad project, like Selenium, like Nearpad, like a lot of the ones that I've been covering in this project. Let's see, Pylon is interesting as far as that goes. I have some new videos coming out on Dfinity and Genesis shards, but I'm going to keep pumping these out until we literally cover all the launchpads. If you have any questions, any comments, let me know down below. Also, you can join the Telegram group because I have been noticing some of the comments have been getting deleted from this channel and other channels that are investing. Like you'll leave a comment and I'll leave like a thoughtful reply, a long reply, and then randomly YouTube deletes it. I don't know if it's part of their algorithm or what exactly is going on, but that is the use case of the Telegram group that I see. And also, to kind of stay up to date, it's a group of like-minded investors talking about all different things, global investment strategies. And so it's basically it. If you enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date, hit the notification bell and click all. So just to recap, let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. Join the Telegram group. Follow us on Twitter at InvestGlobal_IO. Like, subscribe, button all. Invest Global. And until next time.